I pulled up to the curb, the engine of my sedan idling quietly. My parents' house, a 2-story brick colonial in a quiet suburb, looked peaceful. Late afternoon sun slanted across the manicured lawn. I was just here to grab my boys, Ethan and Nathan, after my mother, Lorraine, had insisted on watching them. "You focus on that big work presentation, Jessica," she'd said. "We've got the boys. Don't you worry." I grabbed my bag from the passenger seat and walked up the stone path. I used my key to let myself in, a habit I'd had for 20 years. "Hello," I called out, slipping off my shoes in the entryway. The house was quiet except for the low murmur of voices from the formal dining room. I smiled, thinking I'd arrived just in time for dinner. I walked toward the sound, but the words drifting into the hall stopped me cold. "Just let Caroline's kids eat first," Lorraine said. Her voice was casual, pragmatic. "Ethan and Nathan can have the leftovers. It's fine." A soft, tinkling laugh followed. "My sister, Carolyn. They might as well get used to it, Mom. Kids like them don't really need the good stuff anyway." "They need to learn their place," my father, Gregory, added. His voice was a low rumble of authority. "It's a different world for them." My blood turned to ice. My hand, still on the doorknob, clenched so hard my knuckles ached. I couldn't breathe. Kids like them. I took 3 silent steps forward, my feet barely touching the gleaming hardwood floor. I peered around the corner into the dining room. My nephews, Caleb and Amelia, sat at the polished mahogany table. They were using the good china, the plates Lorraine only brought out for holidays. Steaming, fragrant lasagna was piled high on their plates. My gaze dropped, drawn by a scuffling sound from the kitchen entrance to my left. My sons. My 8-year-old Ethan and 6-year-old Nathan were sitting cross-legged on the cold kitchen tile. They each held a flimsy paper plate balanced on their laps. On the plates were cold sandwiches, just white bread and a single slice of turkey, not even cut diagonally the way I always did. They were eating scraps, on the floor. If you're watching this video, tell me where you're from or what time it is for you. My father, Gregory, glanced up from his recliner in the adjoining living room, newspaper lowered just enough to see me. He offered a curt nod, completely unfazed. The room compressed. The air felt thin, stolen. I watched my boys, their small heads bent over their paper plates. Their shoulders were hunched in a posture I'd seen before, but had never understood. It was shame. How many times? How many times had they sat like this while I was at work, convinced they were being spoiled by their loving grandparents? How many signs had I dismissed as childish pickiness? A tremor started in my hands, a rage so profound it felt like a physical force building in my chest. "Boys," I said. My voice was barely a whisper, but it cut through the dining room chatter like a razor. 5 heads snapped in my direction. Lorraine's face transformed instantly, her mouth stretching into a bright, false smile. "Jessica! Oh goodness, we didn't hear you come in. You're early." Caroline straightened the silverware beside her plate, her movements precise, her eyes refusing to meet mine. "We were just finishing up. The boys said they preferred sandwiches. You know how picky they are." The lie was so blatant, so lazy it hung in the air between us, thick and toxic. Ethan looked up at me. His dark eyes, so much like his father's, held mine. He said nothing. He didn't have to. The truth passed between us in that one silent look, and with it, something else that shattered my heart: resignation. Nathan, my little one, pushed himself up from the floor, his small voice tight. "Can we go home now, Mommy?" 4 simple words. They told me everything. This wasn't the first time. This was just the first time I'd seen it. "They're fine, Jessica," Gregory said, waving his hand dismissively from his chair. The newspaper rustled. "Stop being so sensitive. Kids eat on the floor. It's no big deal." My mind flashed to my checkbook. Just last month, $7,200 for their new roof. The year before, $5,000 for Caroline's minivan repair. 9 years of writing checks. 9 years of my husband, Marcus, gently warning me, "They only call you for money, Jess," he'd said, "not for dinner." The weight of the $260,000 mortgage I had co-signed for them, the mortgage that had secured this very house, pressed down on my shoulders. I had defended them. That's just how they are, I'd argued. They're old-fashioned. They show love differently. Old-fashioned. The word tasted like ash. "You're always in such a rush," Lorraine said, stepping toward me. She held out a coffee cup like an olive branch. "Stay for coffee. We barely see you." "It's not a big deal, Jessica." Caroline slid in, her voice smooth. "Kids don't care about these things. You're making it weird." I ignored them. I walked past their false smiles, past the steaming lasagna, and went to the hook by the door. I grabbed my son's jackets. I noted the automatic, practiced way Ethan helped Nathan zip up without being asked. They'd done this before, escaping quickly, quietly, without making a scene. "Don't make a scene, Jessica," Gregory warned, his voice rising. He folded his newspaper with deliberate, loud snaps. "You're overreacting." I took a deep breath. Something solid and hard was forming in my chest where uncertainty used to live. "Boys, go to the car." They scrambled out the door. I turned back to the three of them, their faces a mixture of annoyance and confusion. "We're leaving," I said, my voice low and steady, "and we won't be back. Not until you can explain honestly why my children were eating scraps on your kitchen floor." Caroline's eyes narrowed, her sense of entitlement a tangible thing in the air. Lorraine's hands fluttered to her throat, panic rising as she realized she was losing control of the narrative. Gregory's authoritarian mask began to crack. I didn't wait for a response. I turned and walked out, pulling the door closed behind me. The soft click echoed in the sudden silence. In the car, I buckled my sons in. Their faces were pale. "Mommy, are you mad?" Nathan whispered. I looked at their small faces in the rearview mirror. "I'm not mad at you, baby. Never at you." I put the car in drive, my hands shaking on the wheel. "I'm just done." "Done with what, Jess?" Marcus asked. He sat beside me on our bed, his presence a solid warmth in the dim light of the bedroom. He had put the boys to bed an hour ago, listening to their quiet, halting story before coming to find me. I just pointed at the laptop glowing on my knees. With that, the spreadsheet I'd built over the last 3 hours was accusing. 9 years of transactions stared back at us, a digital paper trail of my own willful blindness. "What's the total?" he asked, his voice careful. I couldn't say the number. I just tapped the final cell, circled in red. $141,000, he read aloud. The number hung in the air, obscene. 9 years of family emergencies and temporary help. He was silent for a long moment. He didn't say, "I told you so." He didn't have to. I clicked open another document. This is the list I made, the other list. I had titled it, "Requests for Help, Denied." "My emergency gallbladder surgery," I read, my voice flat. 3 years ago, Lorraine said they were too busy to watch the boys. "I remember," Marcus said, his jaw tight. "I had to call my mom." "Our move to this house." Gregory's back suddenly acted up. "But it was fine a week later when he wanted me to help him move a new grill," Marcus added. "Ethan's overnight hospital stay for pneumonia. Caroline was worried her kids might catch something, so she couldn't even drop off a meal." My phone buzzed on the nightstand, a text from my mother. "You're being dramatic. This is silly. Come back tomorrow and we'll talk." I ignored it. "Marcus," I said, a new cold realization dawning. "They've never invited us for Christmas morning. Not once." He looked at me. "I know. They always said to come after one. Morning is our special family time," Lorraine always said. "And Caroline's family was always there," he finished. I noticed. I didn't want to be the one to say it. I had never questioned it. I'd never questioned why my family, my husband, my children, weren't included in special family time. My fingers flew across the keyboard, a dark obsession taking hold. I opened my voicemail history, scrolling back months, then years. Gregory's messages all followed the same script. "Hey, sweetheart, just calling to see how you are. Hope work is good. Listen, the property taxes went up again. Just a small bump in our support would help tremendously." Support. As if I owed them a lifetime of financial servitude for the privilege of being raised. Then I opened my texts from Carolyn. The pattern I'd willfully ignored for years was now screamingly obvious. She rarely used my son's names. "Are you bringing those boys to the BBQ? Noah's hair is getting so ethnic. Have you considered straightening it? Sorry, have to cancel our playdate. Caleb is feeling under the weather." Always a last-minute, transparent excuse. I felt sick. I had let this woman around my children. I had called her auntie and forced my sons to hug her. "Jess, look at this," Marcus said, holding up my tablet. He had logged into the boys' school district parent portal. "You updated the emergency contact forms in August, right?" "Yes," I said. "I changed it to you and my friend Samantha. Why?" He turned the tablet to face me. The emergency contact page was open. My name was first. Marcus was second. And third, where Samantha's name should have been, was my father's, Gregory. "What? How?" I grabbed the tablet. "I changed that. I know I did." "Who's the PTA secretary at their school, Jess?" The blood drained from my face. "Caroline. She's been PTA secretary for a year." She had access. She had access to all the school forms. She'd gone in, after I made the change, and added our father back onto the list. The man who thought my children needed to learn their place. I closed the laptop, the click echoing in the silent room. Sleep was impossible. At 2:09 a.m., I found myself standing in the doorway of my son's room, watching their peaceful breathing in the glow of Nathan's turtle nightlight. "They don't love my children," I whispered to the darkness, a truth so obvious, so simple, that I couldn't believe I had missed it for so long. I walked back to our living room and, with quiet, purposeful movements, began taking down the framed photos from the hallway wall. In one, from Ethan's kindergarten graduation, Caleb and Amelia were front and center, while my boys were partially cut off at the edge. In another, from last Thanksgiving, Nathan was reaching for a dinner roll, and my father's hand was captured mid-motion, blocking him. Marcus found me replacing them with photos of just us. Our family, camping trips, beach vacations, backyard barbecues where my boys' smiles actually reached their eyes. "It's time to protect our boys," he said, taking a tarnished silver frame from my hands. "They deserve better." Tears streamed down my cheeks, but they weren't tears of guilt. They were tears of rage. "I've been financing my children's rejection," I said. "I've been paying my family to hurt my kids." The next morning, I felt a cold, hard clarity I hadn't experienced in years. I didn't drink my coffee. I just sat at my desk and opened my laptop. First, I logged into my online banking. I found the recurring monthly transfer to my parents' checking account, one of $500. It had been running for 6 years. I clicked Cancel Transfer. A pop-up asked, "Are you sure?" I clicked Confirm. Second, I dialed the mortgage company. After 20 minutes on hold, I got a representative. "Hello, my name is Jessica. I am a co-signer on mortgage number 88429B. I need to begin the process of having my name removed." "That requires a full refinance by the primary borrower, ma'am," the woman said, her voice bored. "Do they have the income to qualify on their own?" "No," I said. "They do not." "Well, then you can't be removed unless they sell the property." "Then I am formally documenting my request," I said, my voice like steel. "Please note in the file that I will no longer be making any voluntary payments and that I am exploring all legal options to dissolve my liability." Third, I called my personal banker. "Hi, David. It's Jessica. I need to place a full credit freeze on my name, effective immediately. And I need to close the joint savings account ending in 4099. Yes, the Family Emergency Fund. Please transfer the remaining balance to my personal checking." Fourth, I called my best friend, Samantha. "I need to tell you what happened," I began. I told her everything. The floor, the sandwiches, The 141,000? The emergency contact. When I finished, the line was silent. Sam, you there? I've seen it for years, Jess, she finally said, her voice thick with anger. I never knew how to tell you. I never thought you'd believe me over them. Her validation, the simple confirmation that I wasn't crazy, wasn't overreacting, broke something loose inside me. The rest of the day was a blur of action. My boss, without asking for details, approved 3 personal days. Marcus's parents, Josephine and Theodore, called and offered to watch the boys indefinitely and send over dinner for a week. My coworker, Talia, sent me a text. Whatever is going on, I'm your firewall at work. Take the time. Each action was a hollow victory. The satisfaction of reclaiming control was undercut by the sickening reality of what had made it necessary. The fallout didn't take long. 2 days later, my phone buzzed. It was a voicemail from Gregory. I put it on speaker. His voice boomed into my kitchen. Jessica, there's been some kind of banking error. The monthly transfer didn't go through. It's the first of the month, as you know. Call me back immediately so we can get this fixed. Error. Fixed. The sheer, breathtaking entitlement. I didn't delete the message. I saved it. Evidence. An hour later, the phone rang again. My mother. I let it go to voicemail. Sweetheart, please call us back. Lorraine's voice trembled. It was a calculated tremor, a performance I'd seen 100 times. It was the voice designed to send me rushing to fix whatever problem she claimed to have. Your father is very upset about the bank, and the mortgage payment is due next week. Jessica, we'll lose the house if you don't help. How could you do this to us, after everything we've done for you? Marcus watched me from across the kitchen island, his expression careful. You okay? I took a deep breath. I had rehearsed this. My therapist, whom I'd called for an emergency session, had given me the words. It's not an error, I said to the empty room. It's a boundary. The words tasted strange but satisfying, like a food I'd avoided for years, only to discover I loved it. I'm better than okay, I told Marcus, surprising myself with how true it felt. The doorbell rang, a sharp, demanding peal. Nathan raced in from the living room. I'll get it! Nathan, wait, I called, but he was already at the door, turning the lock. The door swung open to reveal Caroline. She stood on our porch, her expression a perfect mask of sisterly concern. My stomach tightened into a cold knot. Auntie Caroline, Nathan exclaimed, his voice filled with a genuine delight that made my heart ache. He didn't understand. He was just a little boy who loved his family. Caroline's eyes flicked to me over his head. She stepped inside without waiting for an invitation, brushing past my son. Jessica, we need to talk. This has gone far enough. Nathan, please go finish your homework with Ethan, I said, keeping my voice level. He hesitated, his smile fading as he sensed the tension, then disappeared down the hallway. You can't just show up at my home unannounced, I said, crossing my arms. I tried your office first, she replied, as if this proved her point. Your assistant wouldn't let me in. My phone buzzed, a text from Talia. Your sister was just here, tried to push past me. I told her you were in meetings all day. She was intense. I had to call security to escort her out. You okay? My blood boiled. You went to my workplace. You harassed my assistant. Caroline waved away my objection, her diamond rings flashing. Family comes first, Jessica. You used to understand that. You've been ignoring Mom's calls. Dad is a wreck. A bitter laugh escaped before I could stop it. Family comes first. Is that why my sons were eating sandwiches on the kitchen floor while your kids ate lasagna at the table? Her face flushed, a mottled, angry red. Oh my God, are you still being dramatic about that? Mom explained. They're picky eaters. Get out, I said quietly. She blinked, genuinely surprised. What? Get out of my house now. Marcus appeared at my side, a solid, immovable presence. You heard her, Caroline. It's time for you to leave. Her eyes darted between us, looking for a crack, a moment of hesitation. She found none. Her mask of concern dissolved into her more familiar expression. Pure spite. "You're making a huge mistake, Jessica," she hissed. "You think you can just cut us off? You have no idea what you're doing." "I know exactly what I'm doing," I said, opening the front door. "Goodbye, Caroline." She stormed out, slamming the door behind her. The house felt suddenly, profoundly lighter. That night, Marcus ordered pizza. We ate on the floor of the living room, watching a movie the boys chose. Ethan and Nathan laughed, their shoulders relaxed, their smiles bright and unguarded. I hadn't seen them this happy in months. The relief was short-lived. The next phase of the attack began. Later that night, after the boys were in bed, my phone began to light up. It was a coordinated assault. First, a call from my Uncle Richard, Gregory's brother. I let it go to voicemail. "Jessica, your father tells me you've abandoned the family. That's not how you were raised. You call your parents and you apologize." Next, a text from my cousin Janelle, Caroline's best friend. "Hey, heard you're going through some stuff. Caroline is really worried about your mental health. Maybe you should get some help." Then Marcus's phone buzzed. He looked at it, his brows drawing together. It's an email from an anonymous community member, sent to the university's public faculty inbox. "What?" He read it aloud. "It has come to our attention that Professor Marcus's home life may be unstable. His wife, Jessica, has recently cut off her entire family and is exhibiting erratic behavior. We are concerned this instability may be affecting his judgment and, more importantly, the well-being of his children." I felt the floor drop out from under me. "They're trying to get you fired." "They're trying to scare us," he corrected, his voice grim. He immediately began typing a reply, forwarding the email to the department head and HR, explaining it was part of a malicious, coordinated harassment campaign by estranged family members. Then Samantha texted me a screenshot. It was from our town's community Facebook group, a new post by a profile with no picture. "Does anyone else think it's sad when successful children forget where they came from?" the post read. "I know a wonderful elderly couple in town whose daughter, a wealthy executive, has suddenly cut them off financially. They're going to lose their home. She won't even take their calls. It's just heartbreaking. What's wrong with people these days?" The comments were a flood of sympathy. "That's awful. What's her name? We should shame her. Kids today are so ungrateful." "Flying monkeys," I whispered, staring at the screen. "They've unleashed the flying monkeys." "Write it all down," Marcus said, his voice hard. "Every call, every text, every post, document everything." 2 days later, Lorraine called from a number I didn't recognize. I answered by mistake. "Jessica, thank God." Her voice was a practiced, desperate whisper. "Please, I'm not asking for me. I'm asking for your father. He's not well. Just meet me. Please, just coffee, neutral ground." "Copper Leaf Coffee," she named a public busy cafe. "Tomorrow, 10 a.m., please, sweetheart. I'm begging you." Against my better judgment and against Marcus's advice, I agreed. 10 minutes, Mom. That's all you get." I arrived at 10:15 a.m., deliberately late. She was already there in a booth by the window. She had arrived precisely at 9:45 a.m., I was sure. Her eyes were reddened, just enough to draw sympathetic glances. Her timing was impeccable. "Sweetheart," she began, reaching across the table to grab my hand. I pulled it back and placed it in my lap. She flinched, but recovered. "This has all been a terrible misunderstanding. You're our daughter. We love you." "Why were my sons eating on the floor, Mom?" She sighed, a put-upon sound. She leaned in, lowering her voice to a confidential whisper. "You know how certain neighbors talk. We were just trying to keep things comfortable for everyone." My hand in my pocket found my phone. I pressed the record button. "What exactly do you mean by comfortable?" Her eyes darted to the table beside us, where an elderly couple was pretending not to listen. "You know what I mean. Your boys are wonderful. They are. But they're different. We were just trying to help them navigate that." "Different how?" I pressed, my voice steady. She leaned closer, the scent of her expensive perfume washing over me. Sweetheart, you know how people are. It's about appearances, Jessica. We can't help what people think when they see mixed families. We were just protecting them and protecting the family's reputation. I slid my phone onto the table between us. The screen was illuminated, the red recording icon pulsing. Say exactly what you mean, Mom. Say it again. I want it on record. The color drained from her face, her eyes fixed on the phone. You're recording me? Your own mother? Yes. Now explain what you meant about my children being different. Explain what you meant about protecting the family's reputation. She stood up abruptly, knocking her coffee cup. Brown liquid spread across the table. I won't be ambushed like this. I came here in good faith. When you're ready to be reasonable, Jessica, you can call me. She gathered her purse and fled the cafe, leaving me sitting there with a recording. I had it. I finally had the proof. That evening, I was vibrating with a cold, righteous anger. I'm going over there, I told Marcus. Jess, I don't think that's a good idea. We have the recording. We should send it to a lawyer. No, they need to see it. They need to know I have it. I'm not letting them control this narrative anymore. I'm not letting them smear us. I'm ending this. Tonight. He grabbed his keys. Then I'm going with you. We drove to my parents' house in silence. Caroline's minivan was in the driveway. Perfect. All three of them. I didn't knock. I used my key and walked in. They were in the living room mid-conversation. They froze when they saw me and Marcus. Jessica, Lorraine said, standing up. What a nice surprise. I met with Mom today, I said, walking to the center of the room. I held up my phone. She told me some interesting things about my mixed family, about appearances. Gregory's face darkened. What did you do, Lorraine? She recorded me, Lorraine cried, her voice rising. She ambushed me. I did, I said, and I want you to hear it. I pressed play. My mother's voice filled the room, reedy and thin. You know how people are. It's about appearances, Jessica. We can't help what people think when they see mixed families. Caroline turned pale. Gregory's face was stone. So, I said, stopping the recording, that's the truth. Not picky eaters. Not kids will be kids. Just this ugliness. You delete that, Gregory commanded, taking a step toward me. No, I said. I'm keeping it, and I'm sending it to Uncle Richard and Cousin Janelle, and I'll post it in the community Facebook group. This is the truth. Let everyone see it. You wouldn't, Caroline whispered, her eyes wide. Watch me, I said. As I held the phone, Gregory's face suddenly went slack. He made a guttural, gasping sound and clutched his chest, his eyes rolling back. Dad! Caroline screamed. He staggered, collapsing onto the plush carpet. Oh my God, Gregory! Lorraine shrieked, rushing to his side. He's having a heart attack. Jessica, call 911. You did this! I froze, my blood running cold. Was this real? I fumbled with my phone, my fingers slipping on the screen as I tried to dial. In that split second of panic as I bent toward my father, Caroline moved. She wasn't looking at her father. She was looking at my phone. She lunged at me, not like a sister, but like an animal. She snatched the phone from my hand, her nails digging into my skin. No, I yelled, grabbing for it. She twisted away, raised the phone high above her head, and smashed it down onto the tile of the entryway. The screen shattered. Caroline! I screamed, pushing her. She didn't stop. She lifted her foot and brought her heel down on the phone, once, twice, grinding the pieces into the floor. You're trying to kill him, she shrieked, her face contorted with a rage I'd never seen. You came here to kill our father. And just like that, as I stared at the destroyed fragments of my phone, my father, Gregory, took a deep, shuddering breath. He sat up, his color returning. Just a dizzy spell, he wheezed, letting Lorraine help him to his chair. It was a performance, a coordinated, brilliant, evil performance. And the proof, my only proof, it was gone. I stared at the glittering fragments of my phone, my heart hammered against my ribs. Marcus pulled me back, his hand a steel band on my arm. The family's demeanor shifted. The panic vanished. The fear was gone. In its place was cold, triumphant power. They were in control now. "Now, you listen to me," Gregory said, his voice no longer weak. He pointed a shaking finger at me. "You ever try a stunt like that again? You ever threaten this family again?" "We'll call the police," Caroline finished, her chest heaving. "We'll tell them you assaulted us, that you caused Dad's heart episode. We'll get a restraining order." Gregory nodded, his eyes like chips of ice. "And I'll be making a call to Marcus's university, to the dean. I'll tell him we're concerned. Concerned about your mental stability, Jessica. Concerned that this instability might be affecting Marcus, might be making him an unreliable presence around students." My breath hitched. He was threatening Marcus's tenure. "And I'll be making a call too," Caroline added, her voice sickly sweet, "to Child Protective Services. I'll tell them I'm worried about Ethan and Nathan, worried about their mother's erratic behavior, her violent outbursts, an unstable home. They take that very seriously, you know, especially with kids like them." Kids like them. The threat was clear. They would use my children's race against us. "And the church," Lorraine chimed in, her voice now firm, all tremor gone. "Pastor Williams was just asking about you. The whole community. They'll be so sad to hear how you've fallen, how you've turned on the family that loves you." They stood there, a united front. The bully, the victim, the manipulator, a perfect toxic triangle. They had me. They had destroyed my evidence, and now they had me cornered from every possible angle. My job, my husband's job, my children. "Let's go, Jess," Marcus said, his voice dangerously quiet. He pulled me toward the door, stepping over the ruins of my phone. "You think about what you've done," Gregory called after us, "and you think about what you're going to do to fix it. The mortgage is still due." We walked to the car in stunned silence. I was trembling, but not with rage, with fear. I had lost. I had played my only card, and they had burned it. We drove home, without speaking. The silence in the car was heavy, suffocating. I had failed. I had not only failed to get justice, I had made things infinitely worse. I had given them the weapons to destroy my life. We walked into our dark, quiet house. Marcus went straight to the kitchen and started making tea, his movements stiff. "They'll do it," I whispered, sinking onto a kitchen stool. "They'll call CPS. They'll call your dean. They'll ruin us." "We don't know that," he said, but his voice lacked conviction. "We'll call our lawyer tomorrow. We'll—" My laptop, sitting on the counter, chimed with a new email notification. I didn't even look at it. "What's the point, Marcus? It's our word against theirs. A he said, she said. And they're a united front. The loving family against the unstable, ungrateful daughter." "Check the email, Jess." "Why?" "Just check it." I sighed and opened the laptop. The email was from a name I didn't recognize. The subject line was just 2 words. The phone. My fingers trembled as I clicked it. Jessica. I saw what Caroline did. I was in the kitchen. I saw the whole thing. Gregory's attack. The phone. I'm not like them. I can't live like this anymore. I have my own file. Evidence I've been collecting for a year. She's been hiding assets from me. They've all been committing fraud, using you as their personal bank. Meet me. Tomorrow, 7 a.m. The diner off Route 12. Come alone. My blood ran cold. I looked at the sender's name again. Trevor. Caroline's husband. The quiet, passive man I'd always dismissed as weak, as complicit. The last person on earth I would have expected to reach out. "Marcus," I whispered, turning the laptop so he could see. "What is this? Is this a trap?" "I don't know," he said, reading the email, "but it's the only move we have left to play." The diner was a classic chrome and vinyl place, mostly empty at 7 a.m. I slid into a booth in the back corner, my heart pounding. Was I being played? At 7:02 a.m., Trevor walked in. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. He clutched a briefcase in one hand, his eyes darting around the diner before he spotted me. He slid into the booth opposite me. "Thank you for coming," he said, his voice low. "I was afraid you wouldn't." "I almost didn't," I said. "Why are you doing this, Trevor? What do you want?" He signaled the waitress. "Just coffee, black." He waited until she walked away. "I'm divorcing her," he said flatly. "I've been planning it for a year. That's why I started digging. Caroline, she's not just a bully, Jessica. She's a thief. She's been hiding money from me, funneling it into family accounts. Your money, mostly." He unclipped the briefcase and pulled out a slim flash drive. "This is what you need. It's better than your recording." "What is it?" "It's what I call the second set of books. I'm an accountant, Jessica." They thought I was just boring, stupid Trevor. But I saw the new car, the vacations, the designer bags, all on her part-time PTA salary. It didn't add up. He pushed the flash drive across the table. "It's all in there," he said. Scanned bank statements from secret accounts in Lorraine's name, texts between Caroline and Gregory detailing their emergencies, emails where they literally laugh about how they can leverage Jessica's guilt to finance their lifestyle. It's all financial. It's all fraud. It's not he said, she said. It's black and white. I stared at the small piece of plastic. It was a bomb. "Why give this to me?" I asked. "Why not just use it in your divorce?" "Oh, I am," he said, a grim smile touching his lips. "I have my copy, but this is your copy. They threatened you, didn't they? CPS, your husband's job." I nodded, my throat tight. "This is your protection, your leverage. They come after you. You go to the police. You go to the IRS. This isn't just family drama anymore, Jessica. This is conspiracy to commit fraud, tax evasion. They're finished." He took a sip of his coffee. I can't stand by. What they did to your kids, I have kids too. I saw it. And I saw what Caroline did to your phone. I'm not them. I just want out. And I want to make sure they can't hurt anyone else, including my kids. I picked up the flash drive. It felt heavy, dangerous. "Thank you, Trevor." "Don't thank me," he said, standing up. "Just use it. End them." That weekend, Marcus insisted we get out of the house. He drove us to his parents' place. Josephine and Theodore lived an hour away, in a small, cozy house that always smelled like baking bread. The moment we walked in, Josephine enveloped Ethan and Nathan in a hug that lifted them both off the ground. "There are my boys," she boomed, her voice full of genuine, uncomplicated joy. Theodore ruffled their hair. "Heard you two are baseball stars now. We've got wiffle balls set up in the backyard. After we build the birdhouses, I promised you." For 4 hours, I watched my sons be children. They weren't different. They weren't other. They were just Ethan and Nathan. I stood at the kitchen window, watching Theodore in the backyard, patiently showing Nathan how to hold a small hammer. He wasn't rushing him. He wasn't criticizing. He was just teaching. Josephine came and stood beside me, handing me a cup of tea. "They're wonderful boys, Jessica. You've done such a good job with them." Tears pricked my eyes. They're having fun." "Of course they are," she said, confused. "This is their grandma and grandpa's house. This is their safe place." Later, I sat on the porch while Marcus and his dad grilled burgers. Theodore sat in the rocker next to me. "You're carrying a heavy weight, Jessica," he said quietly, not looking at me. I didn't know what to say. "It's been a hard few weeks. Marcus told us, just the basics, about your family." He turned to me, his eyes kind but firm. "I want to tell you something my father told me. Family is about behavior, Jessica. It's not just blood. Blood is an accident. Behavior is a choice. You choose who you let hurt you. and you damn well choose who you let near your children." His words settled in my chest, a solid, grounding truth. Family is behavior, not blood. I looked at my sons, laughing as they chased a ball across the grass, their shoulders relaxed, their faces bright. I knew what I had to do. On Monday morning, I wasn't in my office. I was in a lawyer's office sitting next to Marcus. Trevor had recommended her. She was sharp, expensive, and specialized in financial crimes. "This is astonishing," she said, looking up from the documents we'd printed from the flash drive. "This is a clean-cut case of conspiracy to defraud, wire fraud, and likely tax evasion. The texts, my God, they're brazen." "They threatened us," I said. "CPS, my husband's job." The lawyer, Ms. Alvarez, smiled. It was not a nice smile. "They did they? Well, that's extortion, which we can add to the list. Here's what we're going to do." She drafted 3 letters, one to Gregory, one to Lorraine, one to Caroline. They were not polite. They stated in clear, itemized detail the full $141,000. They included appendices with samples of the text messages discussing the fraud. They referenced the hidden bank accounts. They stated that all financial support, present and future, was terminated permanently. And then, the final paragraph. "Any attempt by you or any party acting on your behalf to contact Jessica, her husband, Marcus, her children, or their respective places of work or school will be interpreted as a continuation of your harassment and extortion campaign. Should this occur, this entire file, including all evidence of financial fraud, will be immediately turned over to the District Attorney's Office and the Internal Revenue Service. No further warnings will be given. Govern yourselves accordingly." The letters were sent via certified mail, return receipt requested. We sat back and we waited. The silence was deafening. No calls, no texts, no flying monkeys, no anonymous emails, nothing. For 2 weeks, we heard nothing. Then the first tremor. Samantha called me. "Jess, you're not going to believe this. My realtor friend just told me your parents' house just went into pre-foreclosure. The bank filed a notice of default." I felt nothing. Just a dull, hollow ache where the guilt used to live. "Okay," I said. "Thanks for letting me know." A week later, Marcus got a call from a colleague. "Hey, weird question. Is your sister-in-law's husband named Trevor?" "Yeah? He's in my brother's divorce lawyer's office right now. My brother said he came in with a mountain of evidence against his wife. Something about financial crimes? Man, sounds messy." Then, the final domino. My old pastor, Pastor Williams, called me. "Jessica, I hope I'm not overstepping, but your father came to the church potluck last night. He was telling a story about how you'd abandoned him, how ungrateful you were." I braced myself for the lecture. "But it backfired, Jessica," he continued, his voice full of a strange energy. "He made the mistake of telling it to me." And I asked him. I said, "Gregory, I've known Jessica her whole life. She's not an ungrateful person. What exactly did you do to make your daughter, a woman who has supported you for years, take such a drastic step?" "What did he say?" I whispered. He got red in the face, mumbled something about family business, and left. "Jessica, whatever is going on, I want you to know the church community is not on his side. We see you. We always have." The final news came from Trevor, a single text, 6 weeks after we'd sent the letters. "It's done. Divorce is final. I have full custody. They're moving out of the house. Caroline tried to fight, but the evidence was too much. She's broken. They're all broken. It's over." Months passed. The silence from my family was absolute. The house was sold at auction. Gregory and Lorraine moved into a small, cramped apartment across town. Caroline moved in with them. Trevor, true to his word, had taken his kids and moved to another state, starting fresh. My life, in contrast, began to open up. The constant dull tension headache I'd lived with for years, it was gone. The anxiety that used to knot my stomach every time my phone rang vanished. My therapist was the first to point it out. "Your shoulders aren't up around your ears anymore, Jessica," she said during our weekly session. "At home," Marcus noticed. "You sleep through the night now," he said, his hand finding mine in the darkness. "You haven't ground your teeth in weeks." But the biggest change was in my sons. Ethan's questions about his grandparents faded. His nighttime anxiety attacks, which I'd never connected to their visits, subsided completely. Nathan's artwork, which his teacher had been concerned about, all dark scribbles and small hidden figures, transformed. He brought home a drawing. It was our family, all four of us holding hands under a bright yellow sun. We all had oversized, ridiculous grins. At work, freed from the constant drain of family emergencies, I found my voice. I spoke up in meetings. I volunteered for a high-profile project. I didn't rehearse every word in my head, terrified of saying the wrong thing. My boss noticed. "Jessica, your presentation to the executive team was exceptional," she said, calling me into her office. "We're considering you for the new senior management position, the one you passed on last year." A position I'd turned down because I knew I couldn't commit the hours, not with my family's constant manufactured crises. "I'd like to be considered," I said, my voice strong. "I'm ready." On a Tuesday evening in June, Marcus spread a pile of glossy brochures across our kitchen table after the boys were asleep. "What's this?" I asked, wiping down the counter. "Summer vacation options," he said, tapping a photo of a mountain range. "Just the four of us." I paused. My body tensed, an automatic conditioned response. I was waiting for the familiar knot of anxiety. How will my parents react if we don't visit them? What excuse will Caroline use to make me feel guilty? The knot didn't form. Instead, a strange, profound lightness filled my chest. I looked at the pictures. Beaches, mountains, lakes. I pointed to a glossy photo of a rushing waterfall. The boys would love that hike. Marcus's smile spread slowly, reaching his eyes. 4 tickets then. No extended family discount needed. I leaned against his shoulder, feeling the steady, solid rhythm of his breathing. "Just us, he echoed, his arms circling my waist. The weight I had carried for decades, the weight of their expectations, their manipulations, their conditional love, was finally, blessedly, gone. We were driving home from Nathan's baseball game. He'd gotten his first hit, and Ethan had cheered so loud his voice was hoarse. In the rearview mirror, I could see them. Eli whispered something, and Nathan collapsed into a fit of high-pitched giggles in his booster seat. Marcus's hand found mine across the console, his touch familiar and grounding. "The best investment I ever made," I said softly, my eyes on my boys in the mirror. "The vacation?" he asked. "No," I said. "The $141,000. It was the price I had to pay to finally teach my sons that respect can't be bought, that love doesn't come with conditions, and that their worth is not negotiable." Marcus's fingers tightened around mine. I drove toward our home, toward the life we had built on truth, not on compromise. In the back seat, my sons laughed, a free, unburdened sound. It was the sound of children who knew they were safe, who knew they were loved, and in that simple sound, I heard our victory. If this story resonated with you, leave a like and consider subscribing. You can also drop any comment below, even just one word. Maybe tell me where you're watching from, or what time it is right now. Sometimes one word is enough to say you were here.